Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
My name's Todd Norian, and I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga. And I have gathered here with three amazing students in the Ashaya Path leadership and teacher training. And they've all agreed to come on and just share authentically what their experience has been in the training so far. So we offer this as an inspiration, and I'm very excited. And I've seen the three of you just totally rise to the occasion and transform yourselves in so many ways. And this is a time just to share how that's been going. So I have a few different questions. I'm not sure we'll get to all of them, but I wanted to just put it out there. So how did you know that Ashaya Yoga was the right choice for you? Like, how did you know? And what was it about that you said in your heart, oh, I want this?
I'm happy to start.
Sure.
Well, the first time I practiced with you, Todd, the practice was joyful. I remember laughing. I love to laugh. I also felt that the practice was strong and with great alignment, but most of all, it really spoke to my heart. And it was the perfect, Ashaya to me is the perfect blend of strong practice and devotion and joy and heart opening. I just never looked back once I started, as you know.
Yeah.
Here I still am.
Yeah, I
And
know.
that was during COVID. We'd maybe been in the pandemic we've been in the pandemic for quite a few months at that point when I found you. And the blessing of COVID is that you started teaching online.
Yes, it's like the silver lining there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Maggie. Who else?
I'll share a few thoughts.
Sure.
My dates are probably not quite accurate, but I've had the privilege of first practicing with you, Todd, in Ottawa, Ontario for a weekend, and I believe it was 2013, and then again the following year, 2014 or 2014, 2015, and the resonance from those weekends remained with me for years, as far as just some of the instructions in my asana and some of the teachings from the tantric tradition. And at that time, I purchased the shirt and Christopher Wallace's Tantra Illuminated. Tantra Illuminated then sat on my bookshelf for probably 5 years before I picked it up. And I just read that a couple years ago and was super inspired and engaged with the teachings he offers there, and which, the hand of grace working, it's opening a path for me to follow. After when COVID came, I took the opportunity to do some of your online classes, which then further kind of affirmed my interest in the philosophy and your teachings. And it's kind of one of those situations. I wasn't sure I wanted to do this until a couple of weeks ago when we were halfway through it. But I'm a believer in my ability to manifest my path. And a couple of years ago, you were offering a teacher training, and I wrote to you or your administrator and asked if you would ever do one in Canada. And the answer was no, but we're at the Toronto Yoga Conference every year. So I considered, maybe I'll do a trip to Toronto to practice with Todd one more time. And then all of a sudden you were offering a teacher training, and it was like, oh boy, this is what I've been asking for 2 years. And now that the opportunity to do the in-depth study is here, I was like, oh no, I guess I have to say yes, because this is quite literally what I've been hoping to have the opportunity to do. So I guess that's the story.
That's so great, Kyle. Can I ask you this? What was the one thing that made you shift? How did you get to that place inside?
The more relative sense of confidence in the decision.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
I had a teacher called Cheryl, And I have quite a bit of cynicism and doubt and a bit of like, negative emotions I was dealing with. So I threw out a lot of kind of cynical questions at her. And I was very pleased with the way she just held the space and what didn't react to my reactivity. And after, I guess, I just felt once I got that kind of stuff out of my system and was able to say it out loud to people and express my doubts, the doubts dissolved. I just had to give them words and say them out loud. And once I got them out of my heart and out of my head, the path seemed that much more clear.
Wow, that's really great. I'm so glad you did that. And I know like Cheryl, Cheryl's the other co-teacher with me in the training. And I think there's something too about being able to be heard without judged that lets you just freely speak negatively. And then you get to sort of hear yourself too. And I'm glad you're able to do that and let it go. And it's a delight to have you in the course.
I may continue just slightly. I think what I'm really appreciating now, and this is kind of one of the lessons taken out of the teacher training program and into my life, is just to trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's been a large part of what I've learned through the course so far, because it is so in-depth and detailed. It's easy to get a little overwhelmed with everything. But if you just trust the process of the teachings of the Ashaya path, then I'm like, it all comes together, and I'm carrying that through in like the process of being a better husband, the process of being a better boss. There's the process of life.
Yes.
And if you just trust the process.
That's very powerful and very real. And I think also what allows us to trust the process is a sense of self-trust, when you're really at peace inside yourself. And that's a lot of what the yoga practice does. So thank you. Okay, well, who else? How did you know that Ashaya was the right choice for you? Emily, you want to chime in?
For me, Ashaya Yoga had the heart following component, which always took me deeper, helped me to transform my own life deeper. And when I received the email that you were offering the teacher training online, being in Canada, I got very excited about the opportunity to potentially get trained in it. And then I thought about going in another direction in my career, and I kind of put it off to the side for a bit. And that door closed, and initially I was sad that door closed, but then it made my mind come back to this teacher training, and I'm so grateful that I'm in this training now, because it's not just learning how to teach a physical form of exercise. There's such a beautiful spiritual depth to the program with the Tantra, and there's such a personal transformational component with the just opening up your heart and working on your own process in deepening that. And so there's so many components to this program that make it so much more than just learning how to teach somebody poses in a physical yoga class. So it's truly transformational.
So what's it been like doing the teacher training online? And, Candy, do you want to chime in on this? And welcome back.
So I was saying that one of the things that Ashaya has taught me is how to flow with life. And I was having some internet connectivity problems this morning, but I just said, you know what, it's okay. I'm going to breathe and just go out and come back in. And so I'm here, and it's nice to see everybody. Mm-hmm. I have been studying with Todd since 2015, and it has really, really transformed my life in so many ways. I've done a lot of training in the past with Todd. Come to any space for self-improvement, and we have to come first from a place of acceptance. And that's one of the first things that we all learn when we walk into a workshop with Todd, that we're in a space where every one of us is cherished and feels worthy. And it starts in here. It starts with opening up. And so I had a lot in my life. I mean, over the years, my family has had a lot of loss. We've had a lot of trauma. And it has helped me to navigate some very difficult times where I heard what you said, Kyle, earlier about being reactive. I really have learned how to take a step back and pause and be that person in my family, in my life, who's not going to be reactive. And that was a journey. I come from a very passionate Greek family. Everybody's reactive. But I have a certification to teach, and it was a wonderful program. I was certified in 2009, but I keep on coming back to this space. Ashaya has taken things deeper for me. It's just really a masterful program. And I always need my fix. I need my, like, whether it's a workshop, whether it's and my friends are like, oh, you're doing some more training? Oh, good. So it has really made me the best person I can be. And I'm so blessed.
Wonderful. And thank you, Candy. And so how has it been doing the training online?
No, I went through a program where we were all in the same space together. So I was worried that it wouldn't have the same level of connection. And on the contrary, it's been a wonderful opportunity to bond with other people in my yoga community. And other than the wanting to give you all a big hug, we do a lot of virtual hugs. I really feel connected to my community. And that's one of the reasons I did this at this time. I really wanted to keep that connection. So we go very much in depth to, I don't feel like we've lost anything of the technique or the spiritual part or anything. I mean, it's a little work getting your computer set up, and there's always going to be little glitches, but it's been pretty seamless. And I can do it in my home, and I save the expense of lodging right now, which is, of course I love doing it in person too, but there's pros and cons. So.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I was concerned too that I wouldn't be able to communicate it all online. And I'm just so blown away by how the group has come together and how the teachings just, they go through the digital means, like Shakti knows no means and, no obstacles. So it's been great that way. Anyone else, how's it been for you online? Any like surprises for you that...
Yeah, for me, it's a huge surprise because I didn't even, before this teacher training, I didn't even do Zoom. I was totally resistant to it. If you wanted to talk to me, it was either on the phone or in person, but I wasn't going to deal with the computer screen. And, but this was the only way I was going to get to study with you, Todd. And I needed community during this time. And I have loved it. It's also made me very much more comfortable with technology. Even for me, even learning I had to get a laptop because I really wanted to be able to write documents and all of that stuff. And an iPad just wasn't doing it. And so that's been a learning too, that's growing, making new connections, and it's been thrilling, challenging and thrilling. Yeah.
Well, you have such a great attitude. And I always say, like, because a lot of people are frustrated with the online thing, and but our hearts are still open, and we've created this amazing community, like, what you guys have been saying. But there is kind of a steep learning curve. And by learning all these new ways to operate the computer and click, I always say, you're growing new neural pathways. So this is the anti-Alzheimer's approach to teacher training because it's online. You have to think, and you have to sort of get out of your comfort zone. But I feel very comfortable with it now. There's an adjustment period.
Well, I'd love to share that I was informed this morning that I'm getting a webcam for my birthday.
That's great.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And may we note to everyone that today is Candy's birthday. So happy birthday to you. So what have you loved most about the experience so far?
Mm.
There's some background noise. That's from Kyle's workplace, I think.
Well, the love most question that's a tough one because there's so much I love.
Yeah.
But the first thing that comes to mind is how alive I feel because of it.
Mm.
It's just, well, and I can go back to fall of a year ago. I remember doing a drawing of a leaf that was very thin and fragile, and you could see all the veins in it, and because that's what I was feeling like. I was feeling like a dried leaf.
Mm.
And I looked at it for a while. I kept it around for a couple of days, and then I wrote on it, "I am not this leaf." And that was part of my decision, like, okay, we are trying to survive during this hard time, but I don't just want to survive. And you've said this, now that I think about it, you say, we're not here to survive, we're here to thrive. And Ashaya has helped me thrive.
Mm. Mm.
I feel like I'm thriving. I feel like I've been thriving ever since I started on this path in every aspect of my life.
Mm. That's so wonderful. And you are thriving. That's awesome. Anyone else on that? Emily?
I think that I agree with Maggie. It's difficult to choose which part I love the most. And it's funny how sometimes some of the most difficult pieces of it end up being the most effective and ways that we grow the most. Like I think about the practice teachers aren't my favorite. That's not what I want to talk about in a moment, but the practice teachers are
Funny because she's so good at them.
I know,
but you know what, they force you to learn because you know you're being watched and it's important. You kind of feel this performance anxiety. But now it's like, oh my gosh, the 4 E's are just getting so ingrained, and I'm learning so much so quickly about how to teach yoga in a correct alignment and heart-centered capacity. And I wouldn't be learning that quickly if it wasn't for the pressure of the practice teachers. So I totally get the method. So as much as it puts the heat on, the fire transforms. Like it really does. I can speak to that 100%. But I think the piece that I love the most, which has been a surprise to me, is the morning sadhana. It's really enriched my life in a very gentle and subtle way. It's been gentle and subtle changes that I'm noticing. My heart's more open, I'm more calm, I'm more centered in my heart throughout the day and able to respond to life in a more loving way. I mean, not all the time, but like more often than maybe before. And the chanting is so powerful. I never chanted before. I couldn't get my tongue around any Sanskrit, couldn't figure out how to say it, and I actually didn't really have a desire to learn it. And I've now learned 3 chants that I use in the morning. So every morning I chant, and it's my favorite part of the morning. And it's just like, boom, centers me. And you know, that has been a big surprise to me, is that how these beautiful practices are now getting ingrained into my life. These chants that have been around for thousands of years, and how effective they are in my life. So that's been a surprise and a really beautiful practice I'm going to carry forward from this training.
Wow, that's really wonderful. And mantra is one of the features of the whole tantric tradition. It's the transformation is through vibration, and mantra is really a very big part of all that. So, but you have to be open-hearted and curious and willing to try something, and that's who you are. So, thanks for giving it a chance, and for your dedication to really practice it. So. Kyle, how about yourself?
Um, I I think what I've really appreciated is just that commitment to learning that it's
Sure.
instilled or brought out into us. When I tell friends that I'm doing it, most people just know me. They say, "Oh, I thought you already did a yoga teacher training." They're like, "Thought you already taught yoga?" I think, yes, but the skills and the lessons that are offered through the Ashaya training are just, taking my own teaching that much deeper, my own knowledge of the yoga traditions that much deeper. And I was kind of thinking, like, I've been through the pressure of a course before, but I'm not quite a diamond yet. And the pressure of the Ashaya training, the intensity of it, and that the commitment that you have to bring out of yourself to go through the lessons and commit to the daily practices, it's kind of like turning an open heart into a heart, like a diamond that's not just open to feel, but reflects back out all the love and all that power.
Yeah.
And I've just going back to what I've appreciated about it being on Zoom, is that I can do it. my life would not have provided an opportunity for me to come to another location. So the fact that I can take part in a course that's this in depth and with a community that's this supportive and do that from the convenience and comfort of my own home is it's a real privilege that wouldn't have been available without the technology.
Wow, that's really great, Kyle. And I love that image of the heart, being refined into diamond. I think of like how diamonds are made or how they're found. Like the coal is, sort of like the raw version of the material. And then under great intense pressure, the diamond is pulled out of that. And that's a beautiful description of the transformational process. You were already a yoga teacher, but you found the way to actually refine even more. And I believe this is a journey without a beginning and without an ending. And there's always more. What advice would you give to someone considering signing up for the next training? What advice would you give someone considering signing up for the next training?
I would tell someone, if this is something that calls to them, to follow their heart, and that all the other details, say yes first, and all the other details will work themselves out later. I did this training for not just to improve my yoga teaching, but to improve my skills in other areas of my life. And at this point, it's already showing on so many levels in my day job, in my personal life. And so I would say yes, and then figure the rest out later.
Great, Candy. It's great advice. Who else? Kyle?
I would speak to the idea that, in my experience, what you think are the reasons that you are signing up for often become the least important reasons. And you get so much more out of a course like this than you even realized you were looking for. So I would say, listen to your heart. And if your heart is pointing you in this direction, have faith in the process.
Oh, that's profound. And just like you experienced yourself, like having faith in the process has really brought you full circle here. That's, and to follow the heart takes a lot of self-trust and our capacity to surrender and let go of the fears and what's in the way. Did anyone have like an issue around time? Like you were just too busy and you have no right taking another training? Like how did that work out, Emily?
So I signed up for it's a full course in psychotherapy approach. I had signed up for that first, and then I signed up for the second, and then I looked at the weekends and I worked full time, and and then I saw the workload, and I think probably all of August, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna back out. I think I'm gonna back out. But then I just was like, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And what advice I would offer anybody who's thinking about doing it and is worried about the time commitment is just to start right at the beginning. Just start the reading right at the beginning and just be steady with it. Don't wait to just start and move with it, because it's doable. You just have to keep steady with it, even if you read 5 pages a day with the reading. And what I've realized about the work is, yes, there is work in the program, but the work is like a joy. I want to read. The books in the program are so inspiring and so interesting, and you want to learn more, and it just it puts a fire inside of you to want to learn more, and it resonates. The truth of the readings resonate inside for you, and the work is not too complicated, and it reinforces everything you're learning and how to teach yoga, so that you can, if you choose to teach at the end of this, you can be the kind of teacher that is going to have depth to their practice. So yes, there's work, but the work is, there is so beautiful and interesting, and so it doesn't feel so much like work. It's not a slog. Yeah.
Great advice. And that was my intention, putting in the required books. There aren't that many, but there's enough. And they go right along with the sadhana and the teachings and all the reading and writing, which, seriously isn't that much. I've cut it back so much from what I used to give. But you're right. If you wait to the last minute, then it feels like a lot. So that's excellent advice, to just jump in, get started with a little bit of reading. And thank you. Well, good. And yeah, anyone else? Candy?
Yeah, I didn't answer this one yet. And I was going to start with the same thing that Candy said, which was start with yes. My expression is start at yes, and the rest will follow. I started with yes, and then all these doubts came in. I thought I'm too old or I've done teacher trainings before. Why am I going to spend the time and money doing another one? And I would say to anybody who is thinking maybe, first of all, you are worthy, and whatever it costs in the financial arena and in the time arena, you are worthy. And if you're thinking that maybe you want to do this, then say yes, and let the universe support you. And also, you don't have to be perfect. I almost dropped out because I knew I was going to have some major conflicts. And then I realized, even if I can't graduate because I have to miss, I'm still going to get all that wonderful learning. And of course, things are working out, and also the teachers and staff, they're all so supportive. Everybody has your back in this program, and the universe does too. So if you feel like this might be something that you want to do, then step into it, and the rest will support you.
That's wonderful. And we do support everybody. I already assume everybody is successful. And then we just work with people. And the beauty of the technology, if you miss a session, you've got the recording right there. So a lot of people I've heard had to make a lot of accommodations because they already had weddings and they had things that they just, didn't want to miss, they couldn't miss. And we worked around that for everybody. And with the recordings, it makes it doable. So, and yes, with such a supportive staff and the Ashaya team helping every step of the way. So it's great. Candy, did you want to add?
Well, I wanted to add, yoga is a practice, and it is a practice in life. And so the homework, I've loved the homework, but I was up against time commitments too. But it was important enough to me to, to be disciplined enough to do the work, because the work is also going to help me grow. It is helping me grow. And and that was a big part of the reason that I came to this. So it doesn't seem like work. I agree with Emily. And there is some discipline in this practice, because otherwise we would just not have any structure. And I want to speak to that too. We're thriving and we're happy and we all have that yoga glow on, but we're working and we're growing. And I feel good about that.
Wonderful. Well, in just a little bit of time we have left, I wanted to talk a little bit about the special features of the Ashaya Path teacher leadership and teacher training, because there's these amazing components like the leadership component where we did sort of the shadow and light work, and we worked with like a study on shame and how to overcome that. And, that in leadership, it takes a combination of vulnerability and courage. And actually the vulnerability is sourced in the courage to show up as your authentic self and make decisions. And then the anatomy component is so special because it's designed to really help you guys as Ashaya teachers to understand the science behind why the method works. And we just started that. So we just had a couple sessions in that. And then, and we have a social justice for yoga teachers workshop coming up, not until a couple months from now. I'd love to just hear a little bit from you guys, like how you've experienced the special features of the course, not just how to teach yoga, but some of the other components, like how has that been working for you?
I can comment on, the leadership component was so beautiful. At the beginning, and it really prepared our hearts for the deeper work that was to come when we started to do the deeper training. And I almost have come to expect that with Ashaya, that in doing Ashaya, I just know that there's going to be heart deepening work. But what has come as a really neat surprise is the anatomy teaching is so rich and is so interesting. When I saw the anatomy component, like signing up for this teacher training, I was so excited about the tantra and just deepening my connection to my heart and doing that work and learning how to teach yoga. But I knew that anatomy would be a part of it. I wasn't, like super duper excited if I thought it would be kind of dry, but it's not at all. It's the way that it is taught in the program and how they tie it back to how the body is an amazing and transformational machine, and how yoga helps us to be our healthiest self. It is fascinating. So far we've had several 1 hour segments, and they go by like a snap, and I just want more. And so I'm super excited about the anatomy. So yeah, hasn't been a single component in this training that I haven't enjoyed, which is amazing. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Emily.
I would add that it was the leadership component that probably helped seal the deal for me, having completed a 200-hour course before, because I was really intrigued by all that that it would offer as far as personal growth, professional growth. And, you know, it's never comfortable holding a mirror up to yourself, but it's certainly valuable. And I would say it's really helped me stand in my own integrity in a way that I can feel proud of it.
Mm.
And speaking to Emily's point about the anatomy, I've just been so pleasantly surprised at how engaging those sessions are, despite being online and all of that, and the sense of mystery and awe that Randy and Ellen bring to the human body. It's been quite wonderful.
Thank you, Kyle. Candy.
The leadership component was also one of the reasons that I came to this training at this time. I was in a space where I hadn't taught in a few years because of COVID. I wasn't presenting a lot at work, and I was starting to really, really question my confidence to present, to be in my heart and be confident just at work and in my life. And so that has been very, very special for me. And it has helped me even in my daily life, presenting at work. And the anatomy has been wonderful. Our first one was on breathing, on the science of breathing. I love pranayama, so I did not mention that earlier, but the pranayama techniques that we are learning in this training are just amazing.
Yeah.
And breath is life. And so I would just that in itself, just every day I get up and I do my pranayama, and it makes my day.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Candy. Well, good. Anyone else, anything else you wanted to say here that you didn't get a chance to? What you've been sharing has really been wonderful and inspiring to me. I'm very humbled. I just basically had an idea for this training. It has evolved over the years. Let me tell you, I've been doing teacher training since 1987, but I'm really blown away by how much you guys are taking away from this training and how you value it, because that's how I value it too, and so the mirror you're shining back is that something about this training is working. And that's why I wanted to really make this video and reach out to those that are looking around for a training or looking around for sort of the next step in how to really thrive, get beyond this survival mode where we're just like dried out leaves most of the time, if I could use Maggie's metaphor, to really fill ourselves up with the light of all the practices. And then the beauty of the community, like you guys have become so tight. I never thought that would happen, but the way the course is structured with the small group sharing, the breakout rooms, the in-between modules, those group meetings, and the leadership component that I loved was how to be a compassionate, empathic listener. Like as a leader, how do we hold space for people? And that's kind of what I felt like Cheryl was doing for Kyle when you were just, you were firing these questions and you needed yourself to be heard. And when we're fully heard, and then not just heard, but heard and loved, heard and accepted for who we are, the heart just unravels itself and moves, shifts from that survival mechanism, which is always very protected and fear-driven, to being light-driven, to being love-driven, that the heart just sort of reveals itself, unveils itself to be held. And that's when we really start to get, like, our paradigm on life starts to shift. And we start to feel and sense our own power and our own sense of agency as, co-participators with grace. So. And
Todd, that's one of the great privileges of being in this program with you, is that all of us, we have the good fortune of being in your first online teacher training, and it's exciting to be part of something new and helping to create it. But I'm also clear that that's the way you teach, that's the way you are. You don't impose from above anything on on other yogis. It's a collaboration, and it's very exciting. It's beautiful to watch, and it's why when things get changed in the middle, or adapted, or something, there's a glitch in the computer, it's fun to see how you work your magic, and we all together work the magic. It's a beautiful dance, and it's a great joy to be part of it.
Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you all for taking the time to share with us. And Meg, I was just thinking, like, a big part of the practice is how not to let our fear or our frustration get in the way of following our heart. And that's what I feel like you all have done. You've overcome your own challenges to be in the training, and you continue to thrive. So thank you, Kyle, and Emily, Candy, and Maggie. I appreciate you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.